Shabbat Shalom, guys. We're going to be continuing in Genesis 7 with the same thing that we have been with reading the chapter, and then we'll talk about it afterwards if you guys are interested in hearing about it. And Yahweh said to Noah, "Come into the ark, you and all your household, because I have seen that you are righteous before me in this generation. Of all the clean beasts, take with you 7 pairs, a male and his female. And of the beasts that are unclean, 2, a male and his female. And of birds of the heaven, 7 pairs, male and female, to keep offspring alive on the face of all the earth. For after 7 more days I am sending rain on the earth, 40 days and 40 nights, and shall wipe from the face of the earth all that stand that I created." And Noah did according to all that Yahweh commanded him. Now Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters were on the earth. And Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives went into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Of the clean beasts and of the beasts that are unclean, and of birds and of all that creep on the earth, 2 by 2 they went into the ark to Noah, male and female, as Elohim had commanded Noah. And it came to be after 7 days that the waters of the flood were on the earth, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd new moon, the 17th day of the new moon. On that day all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of the heavens were opened. And the rain was on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. On that same day Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with them, went into the ark. They and every life form after its kind, and every beast after its kind, and every creeping creature that creeps on the earth after its kind, and every bird after its kind, every bird of every wing. And they went into the ark to Noah, 2 by 2, all flesh, in which is the breath of life. No. Samuel, honey, what are you doing?
No.
You playing?
No.
He's playing with this little educational phone game. It's super cute. And those going in, I'm going to drop back a verse to make sure I don't miss anything. And they went, so we're in 7:15. I apologize for the delay. And they went into the ark to Noah, 2 by 2, of all flesh, in which is the breath of life. And those going in, male and female, of all flesh, went in as Elohim had commanded him. And Yahweh shut him in. And the flood was on... One second, I need a pen so I can mark that. We're coming back right back to that. And the flood was on the earth 40 days, and the waters increased and lifted up the ark. And it rose high above the earth, and the waters were mighty and greatly increased on the earth, and the ark moved about on the surface of the waters. And the waters were exceedingly mighty on the earth, and all the high mountains under all the heavens were covered. The waters became mighty, 15 cubits upward, and the mountains were covered. And all flesh died, the creeping creatures on the earth, birds and cattle and beasts, and every swarming creature that swarms on the earth, and all mankind, all in whose nostrils was the breath of the spirit of life, all that was on the dry land died. So he wiped off all that stand which were on the face of the ground, both man and beast, creeping creature, and bird of the heavens. And they were wiped off from the earth, and only Noah was left, and those with him in the ark. And the waters were mighty on the earth 150 days. Take a moment on that one. Alrighty, guys, a lot to talk about here in Genesis 7. So, first I want to talk about 7:1. And Yahweh said to Noah, "Come into the ark, you and all your household, because I have seen that you are righteous before me in this generation." So, this will come into something we'll talk about later, or maybe you'll see it before then. I'm not sure exactly when I'll post this in relation to this video I need to make. But this idea of being marked by the Father or marked by something else, your actions and your pursuit of belief calls you to be brought into the appropriate fold. So when you mix dough, for example, and you fold and you cut something into it or fold something in, depending on whatever you're making and the appropriate method to use, you select the ingredients based on their nature, right? You don't go to a block of sand and say, give it a choice to be salt. It is what it is. It is salt. It is sand. It is sugar. It is what it is. Just like we choose to pursue the things we pursue and have the beliefs we choose to have, and I do believe we choose to have belief, just like we choose to pursue discipline in any regard. So, you choose every day to love your wife. You choose every day to pursue a relationship with the Father. You choose to love your children. Of course, a lot of that is innate, where it is natural for you to love your children, but it is very easy to become cold to your children or cold to your spouse if you were not doing things correctly. So Yahweh said to Noah, "Come into the ark. Come into the ark, you and all your household, because I have seen that you are righteous before me in this generation." So the way Noah walked already proved out to the Father that he is his kind of people. Okay? Excuse me. So that's the first thing I want to mention. The second thing is here in 7:7. And Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives went into the ark because of the waters of the flood. So they saw the waters, and they didn't sit there and be like, "These waters will not affect me." They said, "Oh," and then said, "We have a thing for that," and ran to it. They had already previously built the things they needed to have in pursuit of the Father to have what they needed to have to get to safety. They didn't, the Father wasn't like, "Hey, y'all, it's time." They said, "That's a problem," and pursued safety within the Father's guidance for their lives, i.e. the provisions they had because of their pursuit. Then in 7 verse 9, 2 by 2, they went into the ark to Noah. So the idea of animals in an orderly fashion walking into the ark after Noah. These are, as far as I can tell, a variance of animals, whether wild or agricultural or whatever, animals taking orderly function to pursue the safety in Noah. But Noah, I always kind of figured there must have been a lot of wrangling to get all those animals onto the ark. But for whatever reason, these animals are pursuing Noah. Noah had already gotten his family into the ark. These animals and the spirit of life in them is guiding them and walking them into the ark in regard to their own need. It's an incredible thing to consider, at least to me. Maybe I don't quite have that quite right, but I'm sure you can see what I'm driving at least. Then further into 7:11. So fountains of the great. Okay, we'll just read the whole thing. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second new moon, the 17th day of the new moon, on that day, they specify the. I bet you that correlates to a feast, but I'll have to do more research on that. The fact that they were that specific about what day it was. On that day, all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of the heavens were opened, and the rain was on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. So we have three aspects of water here. We have the waters from the heavens, we have the water of the rain, and then we have the fountains of the great deep. Now, we're not going to dive into that conversation in this video, but later on, it says, and the flood was on the earth 40 days. Oh, I smeared my word. Oops. You guys will see it because I'm using my pictures of my word to show you. But so here, 7:17, and the flood was on the earth 40 days. Well, we know later on at verse 24 of this chapter, and the waters were mighty on the earth 150 days. And it defines water earlier. It defines mighty earlier. But so here, the flood is the collective of those three waters, the rain, the heavens, and the fountains of the great deep being broken up. And then in 7:18, and the waters. Now, if you have the collective of fresh and salt water only, you mix them, you get brackish water. It's one type of water. But the collective of these three waters, maybe four if you consider salt and fresh, are referred to as waters in the plural. They're separate waters that are being mixed to increase them, to make them mighty on the earth. And it says, and the waters were mighty and greatly increased on the earth. And the ark moved about on the surface of the waters. Which is interesting because if you refer that back to Genesis 1, that sounds remarkably similar to how the Father moved on the face of the water. So he's erased his creation, and the remnant of his creation is now moving about on the surface of the waters, very much so like he was in Genesis 1. It's just interesting to me. But here in 20, the waters became mighty, 15 cubits upward, and the mountains were covered. So the 19 and 20, and the waters were exceedingly mighty on the earth, and all the high mountains under all the heavens were covered. So now that we have the heavens, and the water has now covered them. But that is not sufficient to bring an ark over the mountains, right? So now an additional 15 cubits of water above that. So all the high mountains under all the heavens were covered. The waters became mighty, 15 cubits upward, and the mountains were covered. So they were covered, 15 more cubits, and they were covered to the sufficient level for the ark to pass over them. And so that is the point of mighty waters. That is we've achieved the full point of mighty waters, right? At least in my understanding. And all flesh died, the creeping creature on the earth. And then going into 7:22, all in whose nostrils was the breath of the spirit of life. All that was on the dry land died. So this means that there's a spirit of life in every single living creature. Everything that draws breath has the spirit of life in it. And this is a different spirit necessarily than the set-apart spirit. But the set-apart spirit speaks to the spirit within us and guides us and convicts us regarding sin and righteousness. You know what I mean? So fleshly matters speak to fleshly matters, and spiritual matters speak to spiritual matters. So this innate spirit within us that is life, we must have that in order to be convicted by the Spirit, the set apart Spirit, that is the Holy Spirit. If you're new to this, coming from the kind of Sunday speak. So that to me is incredibly interesting, and it's also interesting that not the fish don't appear to have been all killed. I'm sure the ones that are on, if you keep fish, you understand a lot of fish have very specific needs. And I'm sure a lot of those specialized fish didn't survive the flood because the water would have changed. That's an assumption, of course, but it doesn't really remark, as far as I can tell, on fish. So it's curious, and I don't quite understand that. And then in 24, and the waters, again, plural, were mighty on the earth 150 days. So the waters being on the earth were different than the actual action of the flood. The flood being consisted of the three different types of waters being used, which were the waters of the heaven, the waters of the rains, and then the waters coming from the fountains of the great deep. And again, those three things and what they mean, that is for your consideration to pray on and to pursue. We're not going to talk about that quite yet. So anyway, I certainly got something from this, and I hope you guys did too. These are all being recorded on the Sabbath. I'm not quite sure exactly how I'm going to post them. I think I'm going to post these daily, but they'll all be read on Shabbat. So, which I observe on the last day of the week, as is commanded us by Father himself. So, man, that was a good chapter. I hope you guys got something from it. I certainly did. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in chapter 8. Shalom.